I keep taking this booklet with me, but I never managed to preach the sermon. And over time. Well, I do have about 20 sermons there, so we may need to build a tent here. Thank you, I appreciate that. Before we start, I want to say that I appreciate the invitation. We have been enjoying it. First, more than anything else, God's presence. Then wonderful people, many of you that I do know, and I'm very glad to see you again. If you hear me too many times, you can preach the sermon and I can take a rest. Also the nature, the beautiful nature. And then the fact that we are going to stay another one day here and have a little vacation that we didn't have a vacation in an extremely long time. And so we'll get to see some nature. Isn't that nice? Well, so thank you again. I wanted to say a couple of things related to what I mentioned at 9 a.m. You need to again and again remind yourself not to be concerned with what is going on, because God has the power to finish what He started. And Satan would want you to be discouraged. Not to be concerned with where you are, but rather be more concerned with seeking Christ's presence again and again. But however, there is a number two. I already mentioned number one, but number two, you need to remember that your call is not to save yourself. I don't know if you heard me. Our call is not to look for our salvation. My father used to say, it is not Christ's character when you look for anything regardless how good for self, including forgiveness and salvation. That sounds quite strange, doesn't it? But Jesus was willing to risk His eternity, wasn't He, to save others? Moses, when he became like God, the more and more he became like God, he said, take my name off from the book of life. That's a big thing, isn't it? And save them. And Moses says, God is going to send you somebody like me that will save His people from his sins. Talking about Jesus, like me. He became so much like God when He was willing to give up, including His salvation for the sake of others. Paul says, I would rather be anathema, that in Greek means to be cut off. Basically, to be taken off from the book of life in the Hebrew culture. I would rather be anathema that they may be saved. When you reach that point, that you struggle in prayer for others at any price, including your temporary life and eternal life, then you started to come close to what Jesus is like. And nobody will go to heaven before they reach the point to totally forget self. We don't match heaven's character. We don't fit in heaven before we get to be like Christ. And to be like Christ, when Jesus says, be you perfect as my Father in heaven is perfect. By the way, in Greek there, the translation is love in a perfect way as God loves in a perfect way. Basically, God says, when you become perfect, this is how you look like. Is not you concerned with how holy you are and you need to be saved, but is you concerned with that perfect love that gives up self, including eternal life for self, for the sake of others. That means to be like God. Do you follow me? And so the more you struggle for you, the lower you go. And when you totally give up you and you start praying and working for others, that's when you start growing. Do you follow me? And I have a few paragraphs. I would like to read them to you, and then we start. Okay, give me a second. Christ made no plans or prayers for himself. Day by day, he asked God for the plan. He followed God's plan and served others. As we commit our ways to him, praying that God will make us a blessing for others, he will direct our steps. He will answer our prayers. And that's a good question. When I take pictures, I need to, my wife gave me a hard time in the morning that I didn't take time last night to type in the Ellen White CD. I have the program to type, you can go ellenwhite.com and type in a few words and you find it. When I take a picture, when I study it, I take only the paragraph. I don't take the whole page to see, oopsie, hold on a second. The mind that dwells, so I don't know where it is, but I could, sorry, I have to be honest, but you can find it. You can find it. I can find it. If you give me, after we finish, 15 minutes, I could go online, type in a few words from each paragraph and get them to you. The mind that dwells upon self. Listen carefully. This is powerful. The mind that dwells upon self is turned away from Christ, the source of strength and life. It is Satan's constant effort to keep our attention diverted from the Savior and from saving others, our attention continually upon self. Did you hear? It is Satan's constant effort. Now listen carefully. Another part of this. Those that dwell upon their faults, weaknesses, sins, and problems, they separate themselves from Christ. Wow. We should not make ourselves, our needs, or our sanctification the source of our prayers and the center of our prayers. Commit your salvation to the Lord, trust in him and in his love, and focus on serving others. That's powerful, isn't it? No one prays right, seeking a blessing for himself alone. Short paragraph. No one prays right, seeking a blessing. When self dies, the more you become like Christ, the more there will be an intense desire for the salvation of others, forgetting self. Hello? When you look for self, self is not dead. God never leads his children otherwise that they would choose themselves to be led if they knew the end from the beginning. However, that happens when they focus on Christ and discover to search the glory and purpose that God had for them. The purpose that God had for them. If you give yourself to God, not for your interest, but for his work, you have no need to be anxious for tomorrow. Listen carefully. Did you hear what I said? If you give yourself to God, not searching for yourself, but for his work, you have no need to be anxious for tomorrow. He whose servant you are, the more you serve him, he knows the end from the beginning. He will take care of you today and tomorrow. Wow. When we take in our hands the management of the things of our life and depend on our plans, work, and wisdom for success or survival, we are taking a burden that God has not given us. We are taking upon ourselves responsibilities that belong to God. And in this way, we put ourselves in God's place. We will experience great loss and anxiety and danger for taking God's work upon ourselves. If you really believe that God loves you, you need to learn to stop worrying about your future, about tomorrow, and just serve God and trust that he will care for you. Isn't that powerful? I could read forever. I just love these quotations. I just love them. Christ made no plans for himself. He asked God every morning for the day, and he made himself available to serve others. We have no wisdom to make our own plans. It is not for us to shape our future. We need, like Abraham, to put ourselves in God's hands, obey him in faith. As we commit our ways to him, he will direct our steps. Isn't that nice? One or two more and I stop. Lord, she says, this should be our prayer. Oh Lord, please take me as wholly thine. I lay my plans at your feet. Use me today in your service. Help me forget self and look for your glory and for your people. Abide in me and let my work be wrought in thee. And then she says, this is a daily matter. Each morning consecrate yourself to God for service. Surrender all plans to him to be carried out or given up as his providence shall indicate. Do not be anxious for them because he knows what you don't know. Let him lead you. Isn't that nice? Neglect the exercise of prayer or pray spasmodically short anemic prayers as it seems convenient and you lose your hold on God. Wow. Anything that would abate our love from God and would tend to make us switch our focus from God to other things and interfere with the service for God's children would become an idol. Did you hear it? First resistance to God's Spirit will lead to a second resistance. And this way, we ourselves harden our hearts and harden our conscience. Did you hear this one? I'm going to read it again. Any resistance to God's Spirit will lead the way for a second resistance. This way, we harden our hearts and our conscience and depart from God. Wow. What do you think about those? I'm gonna stop reading. It is not because of any restrictions from the part of God that we don't experience the riches of his glory, the blessings, and the power that he can provide. It is because of our faith, lack of faith, and lack of dedication. If we are willing, we can receive the Spirit, receive power, and work for God. Wherever the need of the Spirit is a matter of little thought and little prayer, there is spiritual drought, spiritual darkness, and declension and death. Whenever minor matters occupy the attention, the divine power necessary for the growth and prosperity of the individual and the church is missing, and the individual dies. Wow. Since the Holy Spirit, through prayer received, is the means to receive power and be successful in God's work, why don't we hunger for the Spirit? We should not ask for the Spirit for ourselves, but to serve others. Why don't we talk about the Spirit, pray for the Spirit, preach concerning the Spirit, plead for the Spirit? The Lord is more willing to give his Spirit to those who serve him more than parents would give good gifts to their children. We need a daily baptism of the Spirit if we want revival. Every worker should offer daily petitions to God for his Spirit. Isn't that powerful? Anyway, I need to stop because I keep going and going and I say, hey, I stop. But I never stop. I love these quotations. I could go on. I as soon as I see a quotation, I take pictures and then I put in telephone in folders. And this is about the Spirit and this is about commitment. And then I separate them and then I read there. You know, you can do that. We worry so much for our life. We worry so much for everything, for work, for ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. I too, I am a warrior. I worry all the time. And we forget, excuse me, how God has led us in the past, don't we? I was one time skiing at Cascade Mountain, and my kids would call me a chicken because they would go on the Black Diamond, and I would go on the Bunny Hill. And even there, I could break my legs. I was so afraid, so scared. They would say, what if you go to Colorado? I said, you go. I'm taking a walk. I'm not crazy. Why would I break my legs on the ski, slope? It's crazy. I mean, going between the trees and jumping, give me a break. Let me just walk. God didn't let me be born with skis in my legs, It's just... And... One time, there was a guy coming with two other guys on the slope, and really steep, and he has round black glasses, and he screams, they scream, step aside, blind skier. Step aside, blind skier. Take a left, take a right, straight. Take a little left, more left, take a right, straight. Keep going, straight. And they get down and I said, you kidding? Can you see? He says, no, nothing. Can you see? No, nothing. So how do you go skiing? He says, well, I know my friends and they are perfect and they will never let me do a mistake or have an accident. And I trust them. And we don't trust our God. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad? My kids and I used to drive in Romania, and they would not clean the roads as they do in America. When it snows, let it snow. They just leave it there. And it snows, and then it starts melting during the day, and in the night it freezes. It becomes ice, and then it snows over the ice. And snow over the ice is crazy. If you get off the car, you do that. You have to hold yourself to the car so you don't, fall. And we saw cars that would go down the hill on the road and lose control, go sideways, cross the median, and the roads are very small in Romania. When you say small, I mean small. 2 cars, that's it. Cross the median, and an 18-wheeler, we saw, my wife and I and the children were in the car, an 18-wheeler rolled over the car, made them nothing. We witnessed that. And so, my kids, during the drive, through the snow, we were driving one time here in America from Wisconsin to Tennessee, and we drove to tornadoes. Literally, we saw the tornado and storm, other time through heavy rain, other times through snow. We drove from Wisconsin so many times to Tennessee. They were in academy and then in college, both of them. 4 years and 4 years, one 4 years and 4 years, the other one. So long in Tennessee, we kept driving there, and so many times through bad weather. And we went in vacations in the car, long road trips. I mean, we went all over, north, south, east, west, Canada. You name it, we have been there. And so, I mean that, literally. We took the whole north to Quebec, and then through British Columbia, and then we took through New England, and then crossing through Montana to Washington, Oregon, going down California. We have been there. And road trips. And so many times we would go through terrible weather. And when we would go to Tennessee and finish, get there, Ralph, where my kids used to live, Mr. Ralph Hendershot, would say to the kids, you drove through this weather? There are tornadoes and storm and rain. And they're like, yeah. And what did you do? Weren't you afraid? Oh, you're playing games. Why? And they say, well, Daddy is driving. Not that I'm a good driver. My wife doesn't say that I'm a good driver, but you know how it goes. She says, slow down, push the brake, take a left. It's like, okay. But not that I'm a good driver, but my kids would say to Ralph every time, my dad is driving. He has been with us through the storms, through the snow in Romania. We know him. When he drives, we can play. One time we were in Montana and the brakes broke, literally. And you're going down the mountain from the top. So what do you do when you go down and your car goes faster and faster and you have no brakes? That's crazy, isn't it? And I had to kind of push left, get to the curve, and keep my wheel in the curve. And it took forever to stop, and everybody was screaming, literally, including Ralph. He was with us. You remember, Dana? Gabe, you remember? Everybody was screaming in the van, and I was praying and whistling. I was whistling. And eventually, by God's grace, we stopped the van. And Gabe and Novi, they were talking and playing games. And Ralph said, aren't you afraid? And I mean, I thought that he would need a diaper, or something, because he was so afraid. And he says, aren't you afraid? He said, no, Daddy's driving. Why don't we trust God that way? Why don't we really trust God that way with our life and learn to serve and learn to put our focus on Him? This is what we need. We are not secure because we don't understand love. When you understand God's love, you have peace, security, confidence, joy. We miss joy because we really don't know God. That's what we need. We don't need more programs. No offense to anybody. Programs are good, don't get me wrong. But we don't need more programs anymore. We don't need more sanctification. Don't get me wrong, we should be holy. But have you been trying? Did you manage? Keep trying, good luck. What we really need is to know God. That's what we need. We need to seek Him desperately, know Him. And the more we know Him, the more the other things will come along. The more safety and the more peace and the more joy and the more selflessness and the more power and the more faith, all blessings will come when we get to know Him, to focus on Him. Then whatever you go through really doesn't matter, because when you know Him, you know that if He allowed you to go through that, you need it, and He will help you go through it, and He will get you on the other side, and He will use it for good. And as you put your faith in Him, you allow Him to work. That's what we need. We need to search for God. We don't need to search for anything else. Do you follow me? I'm going to give you one more story, and then I go to the sermon. I'm not going to go to any sermon, but anyway. You know Jennifer Rothschild. How many of you heard of her? Jennifer Rothschild. Jennifer Rothschild developed a disease called retinitis pigmentosa, or something like that. People who know about eyes, they know what I'm trying to say about. And that's a degenerative eye disease that has no cure. Basically zero. Nothing doctors can do about. And she was young, and she was pregnant, she was married, and she learned that she has that disease. And within 2 years, she lost her sight absolutely, entirely, absolutely. No shadows, no lights, no nothing. Total blindness. Imagine when you are 23 and you lose your sight. It's the end of the world. I mean, it's easy to talk about it. But hey, we face a little trials and we lose our minds and we lose our faith and we pray and we say, why doesn't God answer? You follow me? And that's because we don't know that He is with us. We are never alone. I am with you. If you go through waters, I will be with you. If you go through fires, I will be with you. When you go through the shadows of all of death, I am there with you. I'm going to get you on the other side. We forget that. I've inscribed you on my palms. May the mountains move. My love will never move from you. You remember those verses? We never repeat them. We keep our eyes on problems instead of keeping our eyes on Christ. And so, she got depressed, she got discouraged, she got angry with God, she stopped praying, she obviously didn't go to work anymore, she didn't cook anymore, she didn't shower anymore, she would not talk to her husband, she just became angry. Why would God do that to me? Don't you hear people saying that? God doesn't do that to them. If you are born in Palestine or in Israel, you are born in war. Do you follow me? You are born in war zone. You didn't choose it. Your parents didn't choose it. It happened long ago. You like it or not, you are born there. You need God to go through it. As Adam and Eve chose sin, and through sin in them, sin came to the whole world, and through sin, death came to the whole world, you are born in sin. That's the reason it happens. It's all polluted. It's all evil. This whole world is far from God, what God intended. But the good news is that in Jesus, the new Adam, all that is erased. And as sin and death came from Adam, life, forgiveness, and salvation comes through Jesus. And in Jesus, you have a new beginning. And you can choose now again. Instead of blaming God for the fact that you are born in sin and you yourself sin, and you do that, and you don't blame yourself for sinning. And when God blesses you, you don't praise Him for blessing you. But when you go through trials, you blame Him for trials. Do you follow me? Like insurance. When the tornado comes, it is an act of God. You follow me? Okay, and so, as through Adam, problems came over us, and we are part of the problem because we sin, and sin means death. Through Jesus came life, and you have to choose again. And as you choose Him, whatever you go through, He's going to turn it in good. And nothing happens by chance. But all things work together. And so, her husband talked to her, and her husband said, stop complaining. Complaining is not going to help you, or me, or the family, or your salvation, or our peace. Nothing. Stop complaining. Put your eyes to... He says, how could I put my eyes on Jesus? I am blind. And he said, your eyes of the mind, your mind. Put your mind on Jesus. Jesus was on the cross. He took the sin of the whole world, whole history, all the criminals, all the rapes, all the crazy stuff. He took it all on the cross. And the Father did not save Him. So you could be saved. Put your eyes on that, because this life is short. And you are here, if you are a Christian, you are not here for this life. You are here for that life. So take your eyes off this life and put your eyes on that life, where you will see and you will be healthy and you will live forever. And that forever is going to be so long that you will forget this second of garbage. Amen. And she kind of knew that he was right, but she didn't have the strength to yet do it. And eventually, after a couple of months, the husband said to her, you know what? I'm not going to let you just be depressed. I'm going to teach you how to do it. And he says, 5 steps you get to the bathroom. 2 steps and then left, and then another 5 you get to the kitchen. 3 steps you get to the closet. You follow me? She said, oh, I know my house. I could close my eyes and go around. Okay, then stop complaining. Go and take a shower. Let's go and cook together. Oh, I cannot peel potatoes. Yes, you can. And she learned, and slowly, 1 to 3 months, she started to do everything in the house. After a couple of months, she said, now you need to go back to work. She says, what? Are you crazy? You need to go back. She worked at a Christian radio station. You cannot type, but you can talk and encourage others that go through the same thing. And he says, you need to go to work. I'm not able. I'm going to go with you. He took her in the car. They drove to work. He dropped her at work. He came at 4 p.m., picked her up, drove her home. Next day the same, next day the same. After 2 weeks, he says, now you need to learn to go alone. She says, you don't love me. You abandon me. I am blind. You don't care. How could I go alone to work? You don't understand. You know? He says, this is how you do. You get to the door, 2 steps, elevator. Push the button. Left bottom 1 is number 1. You push number 1. And they did it while he was teaching her. Get off the elevator. 5 steps straight. 5 steps down. 3 steps straight. Open the door. Get out of the building. 15 steps. Cross the parking. 2 steps sidewalk. In the left is the bus station. You wait there. Ask people to let you know when bus number so-and-so comes. You get in the bus. 4 stations, get off the bus. They got off the bus. So many steps straight, sidewalk, 1 step down. So many steps through the parking. 4 up is the office where you work. I mean, basically the building. Open the door. So many steps, elevator, Next day the same, next day the same. After 2 weeks, he says, now you do it. I am with you, but I'm not going to say anything. And she would count. So many steps, so many steps to the parking. So many steps, get to the bus station. Get in the bus. 4 station, get off the bus. You follow me? They did it for 2 weeks together. And now he says, tomorrow you go to work alone. No, I cannot. You don't love me. You abandon me. I am alone through these trials. I don't know what I'm going to do. You don't understand my pain. I keep... He says, you tomorrow go to work. Tomorrow morning, she goes to work. And she counts the steps, and you remember the story? She gets to work, 4 p.m., she comes back home. Monday. Tuesday, the same. Thursday, Wednesday, the same. Thursday, as she gets in the bus driver says, ma'am, you are the most lucky, the most loved person I've seen in my whole life. The happiest person. I've never seen anybody as lucky, as happy, as loved as you are. She says, are you crazy? My life is miserable. I am blind. I am alone. And he says, ma'am, every time when you come, by the way, her husband was a captain in the army. He says, every time when you come, I see a military officer walking behind you. And when you get in the bus, he follows the bus with his car. When you get off the bus, he follows you to the office building. When you get in the office building, as soon as you close the door, he salutes you, then blows a kiss. And then he puts his hand on his heart. Every day. I've never seen anybody loving somebody so much and so committed. Can it be that we are so blind that we don't see God's hand around us? When we go through the parking. You follow me? Can it be? That we offend, hurt God again and again. That He loves us so much that He gave Jesus, and we say He's not going to give us this and that. Isn't that crazy? And the White says that if God opened our eyes to see what angels see, we would be ashamed of ourselves, and we would never doubt Him again. You remember the prophet and his servant on the mountain, and the servant wakes up in the morning, opens the windows and says, "Whoa! Master, we are surrounded by Syrian armies. They are going to kill us. There is no way out. There is no way. There is no hope." The master wakes up and says, he's blind. No, I am not. Look over. He's blind. Oh, Lord, please open his eyes. You remember? When God opened his eyes, what did he see? Armies of angels surrounding them. Can it be that we are so blind? There is a quotation in the Spirit of Prophecy that says, those, listen carefully, this is important. Those that make God, this is, every word is bread, take it. Those that make God their daily continual companion. Do you want me to repeat so far or you got it? Those that make God their daily continual companion and seek his presence more than anything else, they will eventually sense unseen presence of the heavenly angels around them. They will sense God's presence around them, and whatever they go through, they will have peace. Those who make God their continual companion would sense God's unseen presence around them. The angel of the Lord camps around those. You remember? You remember? Your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, this is the way, when you don't know what direction to go. Do you hear voices in your head? You say, am I crazy? You should! If you don't hear voices, you are not a Christian. Witches and New Agers are proud that they talk to the spirits. Shouldn't we talk to our God? Shouldn't we? Shouldn't we hear his voice continually? Abraham talked to God, Moses talked to God, all of them talked to God. Why not we? That's what we need. More than anything, we need to seek God's continual presence. Listen, I'm not going to go. I wish we'd go through the sermon. That's a good sermon, actually. Literally. And we never did a prayer seminar, literally. And you can find it online, probably. And we never did so many things. But I want to tell you a little about how to turn a church around. Because you go back, and if you go back and do nothing, you lost your time, and I lost my time too. And I have so many things, trust me. I don't want to talk about me, but you don't know my schedule. If you knew my schedule, you think that you would wonder how I survive. Ask my wife about my schedule. I mean it. I mean, come from Taiwan, go to Philippines. Come from Philippines, go to Prague. Come from Prague, go to Madrid. Come from Madrid, go to Oregon. Come from Oregon, go to Virginia. Basically, I came from Canada, stayed home from 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. and left again. This is luxury because I have my family with me. You can call me again. When you call my family, hey, I'm coming, I'm moving here. But my schedule is crazy. If I go in a place and invest energy and don't sleep and, well, I cannot say don't eat because I ate here plenty, but anyway. If I go in a place and nothing happens, I lose my time. I better do something more useful. You follow me? But as you prayed that God would do something, I prayed that God would do something, and I believe God did something. And if the Holy Spirit worked in your heart, you should not worry how are you going to do it, because you cannot do it. But you should make the decision that you are going to call God every morning and every 10 o'clock and every noon and every 2 o'clock and every 5 o'clock and every 7 p.m. and every whenever you go to sleep. You call God, please come in my life. Don't leave me alone. Do whatever you want. I don't care. Just don't leave me alone. That's what you need to decide this weekend. And as you go back, this is how you change your churches. Stop trying to change your churches. Did you hear me? Stop trying to change others. You cannot change others. You live what you learned. And when you start living what you learned, when you start caring for people and inviting God in your life and inviting His presence in your life, when God comes, you will have that influence that Ellen White says, saving influence. A smell that leads to life. People see you and people feel good in your presence. You will have that saving influence that you don't even know. And that would attract people. And as you do that yourself, instead of expecting your church to change, Others that desire that would come and ask, and they will start doing the same. And you start influencing the circle around you. And those influence others around them, and it spreads. Do you follow me? That's how revivals start. Revivals don't start with a union or a conference or a church. Revivals start with one person. Always in history. One person that goes to the Lord and says, come in my life and give me this person or this neighbor or this family or I die. I'm not going to let you go. And they don't give up. They persist. And as they do that, God starts working in them, through them, around them, and then it spreads like a fire. Do you follow me? That's how you change your church. Stop trying to change anybody else. It's not your call to change people. Now listen, this is how we did it by God's grace in my former church. I moved there, good people, wonderful, extremely smart and capable, too smart. Yeah, it was a challenge for me. I said, whoopsie, it's very hard. I got to be careful. These are all smart people. 16 physicians, literally. Several business people. Several people that owned factories and owned this and that. Several that were teachers and doctors in this and doctors in that and, PhDs and well-to-do, all of them having big businesses, having high positions, working with many, many, many millions of dollars, working with hundreds and thousands of people, all of them being used to be the boss. So the pastor comes and they look to the pastor and they tell you clearly, you are not the boss, we are. You come and go, this is our church. You follow me? So I go there and the elder comes to me and says, as welcome, I know you pastors. I don't trust you. First day. That was really nice. First day. I know you. That was the welcome. I know you pastors. I don't trust you. You have an agenda. You want to come with programs, manipulate us, control us. As soon as we don't do the way you want, you get upset, and then you go and talk against us, and you come in the boards and try to convince us, and then you visit and you preach on us, and then if we don't do it, then you get angry, and then you want to change our positions, and then if you get a better church, you just move and don't care. And he let me have it. And what should I have done? Tell me. Hate him? I talked to my wife and my wife says, well, you are here for him. You got to love him. You got to love those who hate you. If you love those who love you, you are a pagan. You follow me? If you don't love as Jesus loved, you should not be in that business. You should not be a Christian, period. So I put it in my heart to pray for him and to love him and to know that I am there for him. So instead of hating him or arguing or telling him, I am not that way, I let him finish. And then I said, let's spend some time together, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then we talk again. I'm not going to convince you. You may be right, you may be wrong. Not my call to convince you. Let's work together, and then we talk again. And he was like, are you not going to argue? I said, you already made up your mind. Why would I? Change the subject. I said, so, tell me about your family. And then we have board meeting, and I say to the board, what do you do to reach people? And another guy from the board that has been there a long, forever time, he says, we don't believe in evangelism. Evangelism doesn't work. Don't even try to go there. Wow. We have done evangelism. Ron Halverson came here. Kenneth Cox came here, and he gave me all the big names in the Adventist church. And he said, we spent 42,000 with it, and we spent 38,000, 44,000, 62,000. Nobody came. Nobody got baptized. We don't believe in it. Stop doing that. Come to the church in time. Give us good sermons. Take care of us, and we love you. Babysit the saints. Change their diapers. Give them milk, and they are happy. That's not my call. At least not mine. A pastor is not to serve the saints. A pastor is to train the saints for the work of ministry. My Bible says so, and the Spirit of Prophecy too. To train the saints for the work of ministry. I'm called to train you guys to work, because each one is called in God's grapevine, and each one has a gift. And if only the pastor works, the church is sick. Everyone has to work. You follow me? And that's for you, not for me. And so, what would you do if you're me? Fight them? Convince them? Manipulate them? Get angry with them? Start politics and manipulation? What would you do? Do what they say? What would you do? First, to begin with, they are right, not wrong. Pastors come, don't know the church, don't know the city, don't know the needs. Each one is different and try to implement some programs. It's not for you to decide the program and ask God for a blessing. It's for you to pray and ask God for the plan. Do you follow me? So I decided that I'm going to take 3 months and I'm going to pray every morning 2 hours. My wife even fasted. I don't fast. I don't believe in fasting. I do believe, don't get me wrong. I fast only 4 hours. That's it. And so I prayed for 3 months. And guess what? What God said? Nothing. He didn't answer my prayer. Why God doesn't answer? Because God has big plans that we are not ready to understand or follow. It is so big that we think it's impossible. So God has to train us and to prepare the others. And that's what it takes. Sometimes you have to pray 2 years until you are ready and the community and the church is ready for it. Otherwise, if God would give you the plan right away, you will not build the ark. You will say that that's a crazy plan. If God told Joseph, I'm going to put you over your family, and this is how it happens. You will be sold a slave and go to Egypt and you will go to prison. Would he accepted the plan? No, obviously not. And so, my wife and I started to pray. After 3 months, we decided that we are going to double the prayer time. So we woke up earlier than normal and went to prayer longer than normal. And then every Monday I would go to church and pray there alone. And I asked God for a plan. And I started the 4th month. And I was planning to double from 2 hours to 4 hours prayer every morning. And pray another 3 months, 4 hours, and 1 day in the church every Monday. And if God doesn't answer after another 3 months, I'm going to put another 3 months and pray 6 hours. And not only Monday day, but Monday night too, 24 hours in the church. And if God doesn't answer, I'm going to double it. And I will keep praying until either He answers or I die. But I'm not going to give up. Because I was not praying for me, I was praying for the church and the community. Do you follow me? Well, in the 4th month, I was at the camp meeting. I love camp meetings and I hate camp meetings. I love the fellowship to be with everybody. I hate pitching old tents. Spiders and fungus and all the mold and all the crazy stuff and the dust and the sneezing. Oh, when I get to those black widow spiders, I just... Oh, anyway. But anyway, so I'm at camp meeting, pitching old, dusty, dirty tents during the day. And during the night is Monday night. Guess what I do now Monday night? Pray. So I start praying tired, and I start praying after I eat my supper, and I pray, and it's 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. At 2 a.m., I don't know when I fell, but I fell asleep by the bed praying on my knees with the head on the bed. I fell asleep. Guess what? If you fall asleep praying, is God going to get upset with you? No! It's better to pray so much that you fall asleep praying than never pray. Obviously. And so I fell asleep praying. God woke me up from prayer with a bunch of thoughts in my mind. It was so much. And I'm going to tell you a secret. Whatever you remember, you forget. Whatever you write down, you remember. If you don't write it down, tomorrow you say, man, that was a nice thought. I just don't remember it. Write it down. And write it in an organized manner. Don't be chaotic. God is God of order. Don't just write it down. And then you look, and after a year, you have 1,000 paragraphs, and you don't know how to find it. Write it organized on letters. If it's about sanctification, write it under S. If it's about, you follow me, Sabbath under S. It's about forgiveness under F. And then when you look for a subject, man, this is about forgiveness. You go to F, you find all the paragraphs, all the ideas that you found. You have a whole week of series on forgiveness there. After 2 years of studying. You follow me? Because as soon as you get something good, you put it there, and after a while, it piles up. You follow me? And write it down in an organized manner. Okay, and so, when God woke me up with all those thoughts, I started to write down, and until 4 a.m., I wrote down 4 pages. And then I said, this is crazy. This is not from me. I'm not going to do it. I ate too much pizza last night. This is crazy. This is not real. And I said, Lord, if this is from you, I want you to give me confirmation. So around 4 a.m., I started to pray for confirmation. Until 7 a.m., I prayed 3 more hours. Now, do you think that's easy to commit yourself and pray for 4 months, so many hours? Why it doesn't happen in our churches? Because we want the pastor to change, we want the board to change, we want the church to change, but we don't want me to change. Do you follow me? Like it or not, that's the truth. I am not at that point that I commit to pray so many hours and therefore I pretend everybody else to do what I don't do. If you really want the church to change, you put your knee down and pray 3 hours a day for that church. Then you really care. Do you follow me? Okay, so between 4 and 7 a.m., I prayed for confirmation. Lord, if this is from you, if you told me to do this, I need you to confirm it because this is crazy. I cannot do it. By the way, when God talks to you, He's never going to tell you to do something normal. He will always tell you to do something crazy. Always. If it's normal, it's from you. I mean, to build an ark, wasn't it crazy? Wasn't it? Everything that God says in the Bible doesn't look normal. Split the sea, that's crazy. Bring fire from heaven, that's crazy. Isn't it? When God talks to you, it doesn't make sense because He's too big for our little brain. And so, at 7 a.m., I stop prayer because it's breakfast and Sabbath, meal and Sabbath are holy. You can never miss one, So at 7 a.m., I stop praying to go for my breakfast. When I stopped praying, I got a phone call from Ed Schmidt from Andrews. If you really want to call somebody, Joyce, if you really want to call somebody that to teach the people how to do one-to-one work with their neighbors, there is nobody else as good as Ed Schmidt. He's in Andrews. You call him, people are going to learn like never before and love him forever. Edward Schmidt from Andrews. I can contact him. We are good friends. And if you call him, he may say no because he's scheduled 2-3 years in advance. But if I call him, he would have to say yes because he calls me to do prayer seminars and then, kind of we help each other. But I mean it. If you really want something like never before in how to reach your neighbor, there is nobody better than him. And anyway, so at 7 a.m., Ed Schmidt called and says, Pavel, do you remember 4 months ago when you moved to Lexington, you called me and asked me to come to Lexington? I said, how could I forget? You said no. I'll never forget that. Call me for a prayer seminar and guess what I say? No. He said no when I called him. He said, I'm too busy. He says, Mountain View Conference overlapped their schedule by mistake. And they called me to speak when they have graduation. And obviously they canceled my meeting. So I got a Sabbath that I am free. Do you want me to come to Lexington? I said, duh. Sure, come. And then I said, what do you have in mind? Folks, he told me exactly what God told me that morning at 2 a.m. He says, we did a pilot project in Andrews like never before. We tried something. We did research. We think it's going to work. We want a church to try it. And I said, tell me what it's about. When he started to talk, I was mute. I was like, wow. Everything that God told me and I put on paper that morning, he told me, Ed Schmidt. And he says, what? Are you okay? When I said, wow. I said, yes. Why do you wow? I said, because I've been praying for 4 months. God woke me up, told me what to do. I wrote it down. I asked confirmation. And you called me and told me the same words. He says, wow. He got excited. After camp meeting, I would go back to my board and tell my board, I have been praying fervently, pleading with the Lord. Because you may be right. I don't know the plan for you. You are an educated church. Lexington is very educated people, city, unusually educated, above average in the U.S. Is very rich, extremely well-to-do. Half of them are millionaires, half of them are Baptists, they are already saved. When you do evangelism, nobody comes. And so I said, and they are good people, don't get me wrong, it's just that nobody comes to evangelism. And I said, you are right, maybe it doesn't work. So I asked God for the plan. God gave me the plan. He woke me up, I wrote it down, and then I prayed for confirmation. Ed Schmidt called and repeated the same thing. So I got it. And the board says, okay, tell us the plan. I said, nope. They said, what? I said, I'm not going to tell you the plan. If I tell you, you'll not do it. It comes from me. You need to pray as I prayed. God has to tell you what he told me, because we have the same God. And if God tells you what he told me, then we do it. If not, look for a pastor. They said, what? Tell us the plan. I said, no, not going to tell you. You go and pray. In fact, we dismissed the board. We have no board meeting. And the treasurer says, I've been here 40 years. We never miss a board. If you are busy, you can go. We'll have a board without you. I said, I'm the pastor. Board dismissed. We need to paint, to stain, to seal the parking. We need to seal the parking. So now the parking can stay another month. You go home. Oh, they're not happy. But I was in honeymoon, 4th month. I could afford to do it, And so I told them, you don't like it? Call the conference, move me. Because you had pastors before, and they all, last 5 pastors, moved within 2 years or less. None of them reached 2 years. None of them. And you had good pastors there. But nevertheless, nothing happens. Why? You have tried any method and you are discouraged. Nothing happens. Why? I am about prayer. If you are willing to pray the way I pray, we'll work together. If not, it's not my place to be here, and you need to look for a different pastor to do what you want. I am about prayer. So, this is the deal. You want me to be the pastor? You go home and pray. Do you believe in prayer? Oh, yes, you do. I said, no, you don't. Because if you do, you go home and pray the way I prayed, and then we talk. I dismissed the board, sent them home, and then Sunday morning, I called all 17 board members, one by one, and prayed with them. I called the head elder, and then the next elder, and then the head deacon, and then the treasurer. I called all of them. Monday, guess what? I called all of them, pray with them. Tuesday, guess what? I called all of them. They got a message. I was not joking. And then I told them, listen, I'm not going to call all 17 every day, but I'm going to call one a day, and I'm not going to stop. And I'm going to tell the church Saturday that you need to pray, and if you don't pray, you need to look for a pastor. And then I said, you'll have no board meeting until you pray. I'm going to cancel every board meeting and every communion until you pray. When you pray, then we go back to business. They said, you are crazy. I said, I know. Everybody tells me, and that's how I can get away with it. So you better pray. And so, as I called them, good people, they wanted to pray. But people get busy and forget. As I called them, because you need to follow up. As I called them, they started to pray. And after a week of prayer, that next Sabbath, they started to come to me and say, we are really happy that you pray and make us pray. We never had anybody before to pray so much. We feel blessings in our family like never before. Please don't stop what you do. They started already, instead of fighting against me, to fight with me together in the same group. You follow me? And they started to understand and rejoice the blessings of prayer. And as they started to pray, next month when we had board meeting, 2 of them, David and Shirley, came to me in front of the board and said, God told us kind of strange things. I said, speak it up. What if we say something wrong? There is nothing wrong as long as you don't talk behind. You can say whatever here. There is nothing wrong. You need to learn to speak freely, politely, but freely. We don't talk outside, we talk here. Speak it up. They said to the board in less words what Ed Schmidt said to me and what God said to me. Because they have been praying seriously. When they said to the board, I said, this is it. So I shared to the board. Because if it comes from the pastor, you are not inclined to do it. But if it comes from among you, you follow me? And another one from among you, and another one say the same thing. And then I say it, then those in the board that are not secure, they kind of see it. If it's only me, they don't see it. But when it's another one, and another one, and another one, you follow me? Then they say, this is it. So the whole board, when they heard, this is it, let's do it. They got excited. I said, let's do it. It was them asking me to do it. It was not me asking them to do it. They have to beg you to do it. If you want them to be supportive. You follow me? It was them asking me to do it. I said, okay. And we did it. We started, instead of doing 1 month evangelism, you do 1 month evangelism, and then you accept to have babies. Babies after 1 month pregnancy are abortions, folks. If you really want to have a pregnancy, it takes longer than a month. Instead of doing evangelism 1 month, expecting people to change in 1 month, you need to have a 1 year evangelism that repeats again next year, and again next year, and again next year. Do you follow me? And that should be a lifestyle forever, as long as you live, until Jesus comes. So how we did? First 3 months, stage 1, Next 3 months, stage 2. Next 3 months, stage 3. And I can explain to you the whole year divided in stages. 4 stages. I can explain. First 3 months, we sent invitations to 1 zip code. Don't bite more than you can chew. Because if you send invitations to everybody and you don't follow up, those people, next time when you send invitations, will not answer. Do you follow me? We sent invitations. Lexington has 10 zip codes. We sent invitation to 1 zip code. They told me nobody will answer. Guess what? 276 people answered. They told me nobody will answer. 276 people answered. We gave Bible studies, not inviting them to church. People don't want to go to a church anymore. People don't believe in politics the churches do. People hate to go to your church. Therefore, people feel comfortable in their home. It's their comfort. So you need to give the Bible study in their home. But people expect to receive it in the mail. We did a survey. We learned it by experience, by doing mistakes, that no one gets baptized from the mail. It's very rare. It's 0.05. No one gets baptized when you teach them. Same result. No one. You need to build friendship. But people are not willing to build friendship with a stranger. Therefore, you go slow. So what we did, first week when we go, knock in the door, show their handwriting. You ask for a Bible study. This is the guide. This is the DVD. Why DVD? Because people, George Barna did a survey in North America, Canada, America, all this area. 78%, this is a survey done over 5,000 people. 78%, listen carefully, 78% of all people from finishing school to death, they never read another page. They don't read books. Did you hear what I said? 78% of people, they live from TV and internet. They never read another page. So if you give them to read, somebody that is educated or somebody that is elderly may read it, but somebody young may not. They just want to go on the iPad or the telephone or the internet and find something short, a video clip. How to fix my oven. They find on YouTube a video clip, watch it and fix the oven. How to fix my brakes. They go on YouTube, you follow me? And they find the video and they do it. And this is how they live. That's the society. And you don't say that it's good or bad. This is it. You need to learn to work with it. You need wisdom. You follow me? And so instead of giving them a study guide and they don't read it, we gave them a DVD so they can watch it. And we provided not only DVD, but memory sticks, thumb drives. You follow me? That they can put it in a computer if they don't have a DVD player, because most of them don't even have a DVD player anymore. So we gave them a memory stick. And so we give them the Bible study guide and the DVD or the memory stick. And we say, bye. Now you would expect that to give a Bible study, you need to teach. No. Edge Smith did a training and he said to the church, as soon as you open your mouth and teach, you are disqualified to give a Bible. You lost that family. That family will be lost because of you. We had one church member, I'm not going to tell you his name. He came back proud. I talked to them 2 hours. I told them everything. Next week when he knocked in the door, those people didn't open the door. They are not ready. They may ask questions, but they don't know that they are not ready. And Jesus says to the disciples, I have many other things, but you are not ready. Don't give them more than they can handle. Light grows progressively. You need to give them a little so they desire more. Not that they get, leave me alone. You follow? You follow? And so, first time you go, knock in the door, this is it, bye. Mailman doesn't convince you to read the mail or pay the bills. Mailman delivers the mail, period. You deliver the Bible study. They open the door with a little chain there, skeptical. They don't want you to sell anything. They don't want you to knock in their door. And you say, this is the Bible study, take it. Bye. And they say, why don't you mail it? Because it's so much junk mail, we don't want you to trash it. We want to make sure that you get it. Bye. You want to teach me? No. I have another 50 to deliver. Bye. Don't enter. Don't talk. They ask questions. Don't talk. Don't be rude. Be mean. Okay? Second week when we went there, they knew that we are not about to sell anything, that we are not about to convince them to become Adventists, that we are not about to convince them to believe something. We just deliver. So they opened the door all the way. Hi, how are you doing? Good. How are you doing? Good. This is second lesson. God bless you. Bye. Oh, they relax and they all say, Thank you for sacrifice. Thank you for coming to my door and delivering. We appreciate you guys. You do such a good work. God bless you. Bye. They relax. Third week. Hey, we have a prayer group. We strongly believe in prayer. We like to pray for you. What should we pray for? As soon as they tell you what to pray for, they start opening. And you do pray for them. You mean it. Genuinely pray for them. Next week you go, you say, hey, I've been praying for you. How is it going? What else do you want me to pray for? Following week, you say, hey, I have half an hour. Can I come in and watch it with you? Some of them said yes, some of them said no, because many times the house is dirty. And we tell them, hey, my house is like Hiroshima. It's crazy. Everything is everywhere. It's like the bomb dropped in my house. Don't worry, I am not here to inspect. We just watch the DVD and then I go. And some of them let us in, some of them didn't. Then we invited them over to our house or to a restaurant, because as you eat with them, you build friendship. You need to be with them, watch with them, eat with them. But the rule was that you don't teach. They may ask questions, you don't open your mouth. They may disagree with the DVD that they watch, you don't argue. If they say, I don't believe in Sabbath, hey, that's between you and God. You know how much they loved that? They started to argue, wait, can I come in? Yeah, teach me. No, I'm not a pastor. I'm an engineer. I'm not here to teach you. I need to learn. The DVD does a better job than me. Just watch it. We don't teach. We don't convince. You follow me? People have the tendency, when you tell them what to do, to say, no, who do you think you are to teach me? People argue even with their spouse. People don't like to be told what to do. You follow me? Let them struggle with it. Let the Holy Spirit. You are there to build relationships. This is the goal. You are not there to baptize. You are not there to convince. You are not there to save. You are not there to change. You are not there to teach doctrines. You are not there to make them Adventists. You are there to build relationships. I don't know if you heard me. But if you don't get this, you'll never save a soul. You'll make a Pharisee. If you save somebody, you'll just make a Pharisee. You are there to build relationships. You are there to love. Okay, so teach me. No, I'm not here to teach. Let's watch it together. Oh, I don't agree with this. Well, that's between you and God. They told us, folks, I had Jehovah's Witnesses come over. I had Mormons come over. I have this and that. They all tried to convince me. You folks, you respect us. They appreciated it. They said, you respect us. You don't try to manipulate or to make me come to your church. You know what I told those that I did the Bible study? Hey, I would love to know that people come to my church, but you know what? I would hate to know that they come because I manipulate them. Unless you want to, unless you believe so, you should not come. They said, yeah, I agree that. I said, great, we agree. Good, keep watching. No argument. As soon as you get 2-3 common points together, people learn that you and them agree, and they say, we are friends. I don't know if you noticed. That's what politicians do. They make you agree in 3 points that you agree with, and then they tell you the 4th point, and you don't realize you agree with that too. I'm not saying that we should be politicians. I'm not saying that you should be psychologists and manipulate people. But I am saying that Jesus says, be loving like doves and wise like snakes. Unless you have wisdom, why would you start arguing with people? What's the point? What do you gain? Learn to find common grounds. Learn to love. Learn to leave it alone. Learn to respect people's choice. God gave them freedom. You need to respect that freedom as you want your freedom to be respected. Therefore, find the common points, agree with, so you can build friendship. And then, points that you don't agree, leave it alone. If they say, well, I don't agree, hey, that's between you and God. I'm not here to change you. I'm here to love you. Period. Is it clear? People loved us for that. Now, listen carefully. When we entered the house, we started to build friendships. When we started to build friendships, we started stage 2. The next 3 months, what we did the next 3 months, we started to attack the city. What does it mean? Nobody knows the church in the city. Nobody knows. In fact, when you send flyers for evangelism, other pastors tell their members, don't go to that church. Do you follow me? What we did, we went to the city hall, talked to the mayor. Hey, we want to help. What do you want us to do? Well, clean the park. We took the whole church, went behind the mall. One Sunday morning, we cleaned the park. Guess what? Our church members are crazy. If I ask them to come to the church for work B, nobody comes. I asked them to go and clean the park. They all came, young and old. And after they worked like crazy picking up garbage, they said to me, it was fun. When can we do it again? I said, are you crazy? You picked up garbage. It was fun. When can we do it again? You know why? Because when they do that, they talk, joke, interact. And it's fun when people do things together. They loved it. We cleaned the park. We divided the church in teams. Some teams went downtown to some homes that were dirty. They mowed the grass, painted, cleaned. Some teams went and cleaned the creek. We attacked the city. Then we invited the police force to the church on a Sunday, not on a Saturday. And we told them, we're not going to preach. Everybody blames police. We want to pray for you. We want to pray for your safety. We want to give you a meal and to tell you that we appreciate what you do for our safety. We invited the police force. Not all came. Some were home, some were on the streets, but some of them did come. And then we took cookies, unhealthy sweet cookies, and soda, unhealthy soda. Who cares? They drink it anyway. We took cookies and we went on the streets to those that could not come and gave each one a bag of cookie from Costco and the soda. And we said, God bless you, and the thank you card. We will pray for your safety. Thank you for what you do. And then we went to police stations, 25 of them, and dropped bags of cookies and thank you cards and prayed for them. And then we invited the firefighters to the church and did the same. Pray for them and then dropped cookies for those that didn't come. And then I could go on and on and on and on. Do you follow me? Guess what? The whole city started to talk about the Adventist church. We had the pathfinders go to nursing homes and sing and bring cookies and flowers and pray for them. Go to hospitals, watch people that nobody goes to them, give cookies and flowers and pray for them. We attacked the city. It took 3 months. Guess what? We went downtown for 3 Sabbaths, Saturday night, to feed the homeless. There was a line. I counted 76 people in the line. I have pictures with them. One came to me and said, I didn't eat for 3 days. I've been praying for food. You guys are an answer to my prayer. Who are you? Nobody cares for us. We fed the homeless. Our church came back refreshed. Our church was like, we are happy. We never had that ever. This church has been here for 150 years. They were like the bunny that goes on Duracell, you know? And say, calm down. Don't be happy that these things happen. Be happy that your names are in the book of life. You know? I said, calm down. The church was already getting momentum. They were on fire. Oh, look at her. Calm down. After 3 months, we started the third stage. Another 3 months. We started seminars at the church. Not evangelism, but seminars. Not on Sabbath, but during the week, Thursday night. You follow me? Not with the whole church. If you ask the church to come for a seminar, nobody comes. I told the church, stay away. Don't come. Well, you know, they came. When you tell them not to come, this is not for you. Please don't come. They are curious. They come. This is crazy. Anyway, I told her, don't come. If you are too many, they will be scared. Just about 10 of you come. They came. Anyway, so we had a cooking class this Thursday. We invited our Bible study friends to come to a cooking class. And we told them we have samples of food. They came. They love food. And we had a health class. And we had a depression recovery class. And we had you follow me? Parenting class and debt-free class and addiction class, stop smoking class. And basically, you had several classes. Guess what it does? The goal is not that we teach them to cook. That was not my point. The goal was that they start getting used with the church location and with the people from the church. And as they came to the seminars, they started to know people, and as they ate the cookies, every time we had a seminar, we had refreshments. Not a lot of meal, but just some pretzels and some juice, and you follow me? They eat, they talk, they started to build friendship. After another 3 months of seminars, we had evangelism. By now, they finished the Bible study, reading the guides, watching the DVD. They had 9 months to think about Sabbath, it's not 1 month, you do 4 weeks and you expect them to change a lifestyle, a whole life. They had 9 months, they had time to labor, to argue, to think, to pray, make decisions. 3 out of 4 dropped already from the Bible studies. We had a smaller group. Now they were ready. They knew it, they talked about it, it was done. They did the study seriously. Now we had evangelism. We invited them to the church not to learn about it, but to make a decision. As they came to the church, they hear everything all over again. And this is how people function. They need to hear it 3-4 times to sink in. They hear it all over again. Guess what? Lexington Church, the conference gave me the history. For 72 years, they had an average of 2 baptisms a year. For 72 years, 2 baptisms a year. Most of them their own children. This time, we expected a bunch of results. Nothing. 9 baptisms. I was so disappointed. The church was so sad. Well, 9 is better than 2, obviously. But we expect like from 276, we are going to baptize 150. At least 50. At least 25. 9. I called Ed Schmidt. It doesn't work. He says, it's a learning process. You don't jump in the water and you are a swimmer. You take a few, swallow a little water in your mouth before you learn how to swim. He says, next year you'll do better. Plus, he said, people don't make decision first time they hear. They need to hear it 3 times to make a decision. So next year, we did it again, and people from the first year came again. And next year we did it again, and people. Now let me tell you what happened the last 3 months of the process. Last 3 months, when we did evangelism, we had row hosts. For every row, there were 2 hosts. For every row, there were 2 hosts. They sat there always. And they got to know the people from that row, because people are creatures of habit. They always sit in the same spot. They learned those people. They gave the materials during evangelism every night. They talked to those people. They learned the names. They learned the children. They learned the family. They prayed with them. They became buddies. They became friends. After evangelism, the row host called once a week. Each host, his row. Once a week, the 2 row hosts called those people and prayed with them and prayed for them and said, how are you doing? How is your family? How your children, your spouse, And once a month visited them, because when people make a decision to follow God, they lose some of them jobs, they lose friends, they lose family. If they don't have anybody to offer love and support and prayer, they are alone, they turn back. Do you follow me? 98 I forgot how much % of the people who leave the church leave because they are alone, have no friends, and only 2% leave because they don't agree with our doctrines. Yes, and that's a real survey. Another survey. Out of every 100 people baptized in the Adventist church in North American division, out of every 100, 78 of them leave the church after 3 months. 78 of them leave the church from every 100. Anyway, and so, how do you keep them? How do you help them know Christ? Not only come because the evangelist manipulated them into the church, they were excited. It was like a salesman, a good sales pitch, They got baptized and then they say, this is not for me. How do you help them really know Christ, really give their life to Christ? You don't make them members. You need to make them Christians. How do you do that? And so, the row host called them, visited them, ate with them, prayed with them, supported them every week, every month. 1. Number 2, I had sermons about gift discovery and gift using, how to serve. And after the sermon, 2-3 sermons, I made an appeal and then put tables on the hallway outside with all the jobs in the church, except to be a head elder or to be in the board, obviously. I put all the jobs there, and people signed according to their gift. People that knew landscaping signed on the church grounds. People that knew construction signed to be the ones that fix the church. People that knew music signed to. People that knew how to take care of children. People that were in the health. People, according to their gifts, signed on papers. To the point that all the newcomers got involved in work. They came to me, they said, we love it. In the church that I used to go, nobody ever would call me. Paul and Paulette, Catholic family, their grandson, Catholic priest, business, everybody in the family, Catholics forever. They came just because they were curious about the health classes. They came and people pray with them, people call them, people, they said, I was sick. I missed my Catholic church for 3 months. Nobody called. You guys, you call, you really care. What do you want? We don't want anything. You want me to be part of your church? We will love that, but that's your choice. If you don't want to, that's the door. God bless you. Do you want money? No, we don't want. We have money. Our church, in fact, is very rich. Among top 3 churches in the whole Southern Union in tithe. So no, we don't want your money. What do you want? We want you to know Christ. And then you decide whatever you want. They got baptized. They told me, we have never seen a church so friendly, a church praying so much, a church calling so much, a church. And then as soon as I said, you need to work. They said, nobody in the previous church asked me to work. I feel good. This is like home. I want to do something for Christ. You invite them to work. As soon as they work, they remain. Okay? And I could give honor. I could go on and on and on. But first year we baptized 9. Second year we baptized 16. Third year we baptized 23. Fourth year we baptized 38. Fifth year we baptized 51. Anglo. This is not a Spanish. This is Anglo church. With history of no baptism. 51. Isn't that something? Folks, this is America. This is not Africa. 51. How many of them left the church? How many of them stayed? You say it. 50 stayed. 1 left. Isn't that good retention? That's 98% retention, folks. How many of them work? When I moved to Lexington, there were 11 people doing all the jobs. 11 people doing all the jobs. Attendance 90 to 120. When I left Lexington, there were 256 people doing the jobs. Hello? 256 working. Attendance 300. First. Secondly, when I moved there were conflicts, fight about the Trinity, about this, about that, about liberalism, about conservatism, about fights, division, bitterness. When I left, no conflict, 0. I never solved the conflict. I never called them to the board to make peace between the saints. No. Let them fight, kill each other. I just go and do the funeral. I don't spend my energy to bring peace between the saints. Give me a break. You are fighting, go home and fight. This is the place to work, not to fight. We never spent time in board meetings to bring peace between the saints. We prayed and gave them work. Guess what? As soon as they started to pray and to work, conflicts disappeared without me solving them. There were no conflicts whatsoever. The church came to me, we are growing, we are baptizing, can we do it again next year? I said, well, let me think. Yes! They were begging me to do evangelism. I could not, my wife said, don't tell them. I had to tell, I could not resist. I said, you told me that you don't believe in evangelism. Oh, we didn't know how to do it. Evangelism works, it just depends how you do it. And you don't devise a plan because you don't know the city. You pray for the plan. You follow me? You pray for the plan. Because we do it different in every place. But the principle is the same. You pray, receive the plan, and then do it thoroughly. You don't just go and harvest tomatoes if you didn't plant tomatoes. If you didn't work the ground, if you didn't water, if you didn't weed, you don't harvest. You follow me? It's a whole process, folks. You don't get a job before you go to school. The same with evangelism. Okay, we are done. My time is over long ago. Am I right? Gone. Yeah. Folks, I didn't tell you about radio. Next time. How we got radio, how we got television, how we got miracles. I mean, television, that was something. They would never dream. Own radio tower, something else. Internet, everything that God blessed that church was just an explosion. 280,000 downloads a month, each month from over 60 countries around the world. Baptisms, Bible studies, people that left the church coming back, momentum, all happened because of prayer. You want that in your church? Don't expect the church to change. You start praying patiently, persevere, don't give up, ask God to work in your life. Okay? God bless you. Amen.
You'll notice that Joyce has been a little distracted today, and Keith isn't here. And she's leaving right now to be with him. He's having some health problems. The doctor wants to see him right away. So we're going to pray. Pavel's going to pray for him right now.
Father in heaven, we thank you so much for your love that surpasses our understanding. We, as you promised, that we can come to you in simplicity with all our needs. We present Keith before you, and we ask that you touch him and lead the doctors. We pray that you give him strength and you turn everything for good and for your glory. Amen. We pray for him, Lord, and we pray for everybody that came here this weekend. May none of us remain the same. We pray in Jesus' name, it's only in His name. And thank you, Lord, for answering. Amen.